Hi Disha. Hi, so lovely to have you here.
Hi Gayatri, it's so nice to be here. Thank you so much for having me here.
Welcome. This is like the first exclusive podcast of Beep, and we couldn't have asked for any better guest to join us today.
Wow, I'm honestly so honored. It's my very first podcast as well, and I'm so excited. It's always been a dream of mine to be on a podcast, not just one, but multiple podcasts. But I'm so glad that we're starting from here. It was a great experience working with Raki and speaking to her.
Yeah. So yeah, it's great experience for us also. She's been amazing with us. So yeah, so I'll just quickly introduce you, and then you can you can like let's just treat it as like a like as natural as we can.
For sure.
Hi everyone. Hi to the viewers and the listeners. Today we have Disha with us. She's a visionary founder of Two Wheeler, which is a game-changing platform transforming urban mobility. She's a dynamic entrepreneur. Disha's journey began in a college days where she had curiosity and passion for solving real-world problems, which laid a foundation for her startup. With a knack of turning ideas into action, Disha always had this vision to build a successful brand, which also inspires countless young individuals to chase their own dreams. From navigating the challenges of students' life to creating an impactful business, her story has a perfect blend of ambition, resilience, and innovation. So, welcome, Disha. Welcome again. And please tell us a little bit about yourself, which we don't know of, and like how did you like how was it for you to start your when that sort of that idea came to your mind and you sort of wanted to like transform that idea into something bigger.
Thank you so much for such a lovely introduction. I'm so grateful to be here. So, a little bit about myself. I am Disha. As Gayatri said, I am the co-founder and chief marketing officer for Two Wheeler. Two Wheeler is a brand which is into buying and selling of second-hand two wheelers. We buy vehicles, refurbish them, and sell them to other purchasers, right? This is the very crux of the business, but around this business we've built an entire tech stack which not only deals with the buying and selling, but also helps to optimize the performance of the on ground team. So हमारा जो industry है, the second hand automotive industry, it's not just into the customer facing side. The customer facing side has been solved by a lot of our previous players and the competitors. But सबसे बड़ा जो problem है is all in the operational side, and that's what we have cracked into. So that is a little bit about my company. We're gonna get bigger very soon. We'll be entering new cities very, very soon. And we also have a new, tech system and an app coming out for our teams as well. So I'm very excited to, kickstart our 4.5 year actually. After 4.5 years doing this entire thing into tech, etc.
That's lovely. And since you're talking about the app, we are an app ourselves. So Beep is an edtech platform where we provide internships and job opportunities to young individuals. So since and the whole idea of Beep started with the like this with this thought of transforming tier two, tier three colleges students ka like you know how they face a lot of problems in terms of getting a right kind of job industry exposure. So like how was your college experience? Like if I'm not wrong, you went to Symbiosis, and like how was it for you? How did you did you start your I have a feeling that you started your entrepreneurial journey when you were in college only. So how was your college life?
I was in college. So, like many 23-year-olds who are, with me in my batch, we were unfortunately the COVID batch. We started our college in 2018, 2019, and 2020 and went on till 22. So I'm a 2019 to 2022 graduate. Luckily for me, I at least got, about 8 to 10 months in offline college before we had to completely move online. So my offline college was amazing. I was in Symbiosis and we had this concept of projects, which is basically all these extracurricular activities that you have to do to get credits, which add on to the ending of your semester and, it helps you in passing the grade. And everybody's like, you have to do only two projects, in a semester. And I was like, sirf do? Nah. So in my very first semester, I ended up doing about 8 projects of completely random things. One was into events, one was into, you know, NGO, one was into working with kids. So I did multiple such things, and it was a very, very first fantastic year. I don't think I would have started my startup had COVID not happened, because being in a college like Symbiosis, right, where you are doing so many things to keep up with all of your batchmates who are equally, if not better than you in what you're doing, you wouldn't really have the time essentially. So in that way, COVID was very essential as a stepping stone in my career, because I had the free time to, learn other concepts such as entrepreneurship, how it happens, the entire basics of it, and then I'd be able to move on. If we had offline college, तो ऐसा नहीं होता. So this is a little bit about my college journey. In my second and my third year, which was essentially online, I didn't really do anything as such because we didn't get a chance. I was in a media college. So the true benefit of a media college is if you're actually standing in front of a camera or behind a camera or around, media to actually do it. But because of COVID, we weren't lucky enough to do all of our courses offline. So that's why we had plenty of time, you know. So most of my college went into online stuff, but I think that was the reason why I have my startup.
Yeah, yeah. No, it makes sense. And the whole reason for you to do like multiple things at a time is because the college was not like, offering so, like, there was no like real life experience. So kudos to you to sort of going out of the way and figuring it out every step of the way. So that's a really good like initiative you took in back of the days, because we see not a lot of students are sort of, they're just following the curriculum, and like the colleges, especially like a Symbiosis is a really great college, but there are like tier 2, tier 3 colleges which are struggling a lot to get an exposure, and even the students are not do not have that understanding of going out of the way and doing something for themselves. So it's great that you sort of took that initiative, and we can see the results now. So it's amazing.
Thank you.
So like, do you like, this is like talking about your college, but did you always had a passion for like entrepreneurship? Did you always thought of this? How did that like panned out for you?
Okay, so the funny thing is, right, I was an entrepreneur before I knew what the word entrepreneur means. Like the first time I heard the word entrepreneur was when English came out. I think it was back in 2015, 2014 के आसपास, and I was just like, ooh, entrepreneur. Interesting. I couldn't even pronounce it पहले ठीक से. And then, I watched English, got a hang of this new word, and I went about my way. I was just like, हाँ, देखेंगे क्या होता है. देखो, I come from a business family. ठीक है, तो मेरे खून में बिजनेस चलाना है. So from the very beginning, from बचपन से I knew that हाँ, मैं तो बिजनेस करूंगी, but I never imagined that I will get into business as soon as 19 years old. आई थॉट कि हाँ, मस्त आराम से एक 5-6 साल काम करेंगे, सीखेंगे, एंड देन वील मे बी एंटर इनटू बिजनेस. अभी तो कुछ सोचा नहीं था, इट वाज ऑल हवा हवा का. ठीक है, बट एज आई वाज सेइंग, आई वाज एन एंटरप्रेन्योर बिफोर आई रियलाइज्ड व्हाट एन एंटरप्रेन्योर इज. So back in 2017, I had my first venture. It was called Athena Model United Nations. I hope a lot of people in Pune must be recognizing that name. We had one of the largest Model United Nations back in that time, where we had over 250 participants, with about 10 of them coming from out of India as well. So we had delegates from Bangladesh, we had delegates from Nepal also who had come in for that Model United Nations, and I was one of the founding team members. So I helped organize that entire thing. Then the second thing, before I even started Two Wheeler, was that the pandemic had just started, and our college professor had given us this experience trial thing to do that. Okay, what if let's experience as if you have your own ad agency. So I was just like, what, this sounds very interesting to me. So I took that up. It was called Address, ADDRESS, Address. Home is where the ad is, basically, right? So that is what we did. We were a bunch of about 20, 25 people working on it, where, we used to take this simple ads जो हम लोगों ने, देखे हैं बचपन से, and we used to reinvent it in the COVID version. So, the IPL के bangers, या तो वो धोते जाओ वाला, Dettol वाला, we all created it on the basis of what it would be like if you were in the pandemic. So that was my second venture. it was not a no, it was not for profit, but it was something that I started up on my own with the help of two of my batchmates as well. And then we went on and we made it a pretty big deal. In college, everybody knew, in my college and around my college that, oh, these people are doing something like this. It's pretty interesting. तो ये किया. And then simultaneously जब ये चल रहा था, that's when two-wheeler started. So that's been my entire transition, कि हाँ, college में I knew I'll be doing something of myself, but not in the middle of my college. So yeah.
And how did the idea of two-wheeler like occur to you? How did you thought of that idea? Was it like your founders? Like how is it? Like how was the whole process?
So I'll be honest with you, I was not the one who thought about the idea, right? I think oftentimes there are a lot of entrepreneurs who take the ideas of other people, matlab the close ones around them who've not been able to make it happen and actually convert it into profitable, actionable startups. My journey was also something like that. So I was 19 years old. My dad's been in this industry for the last 30 years. He's been the president of the Pune Used to Wheeler Association for the last 10 years now. So, and my entire family, the entire Pune ka jo Rasta Pet ka jo hai, that's all my extended family. Right? They all learned from my father and my uncle, and then they learned, and then they started their own stores in and around Rastapet. So my family is essentially the pioneers of the pre-owned two-wheeler industry in Pune and Maharashtra. So, my dad's been the mentor for multiple startups like Shredar and Zoom, where, he gave his opinions and everything. He didn't know what a startup was. My dad was a simple businessman who was just like, हाँ बच्चे हैं उनको कुछ नया try करना है, and he did his best to do it. And then he realized, that, oh, okay, what, there is something known as startup, and it is something that's rising up. So back to COVID, right? We're in COVID, and for the first time in, I don't know, 19 years of my life, my dad was home for more than one day. So, my dad and my parents are both workaholics, so उन लोगों को 24/7 मतलब हर 7 दिन काम पे जाना होता है. They can't stay at home. So COVID was like a nightmare for my dad. He's just like मेरे को इतने सारे दिन घर पे रहना पड़ेगा. And then one of the days when we were sitting, he sat my sister and I down, and we asked him, that आप करते क्या हो? मतलब हमें बचपन से पता था कि हम यूज टू व्हीलर में है, but यूज टू व्हीलर है क्या? मतलब ये इंडस्ट्री है क्या? So it was very funny. We were sitting with my dad, and my dad was telling us his entire story about how he was a mentor and everything. And then my sister was doing her CFA at that time, and that's when she understood the gap in this market. And she's like, you know what? We're on to something big. A lot of our competitors do not have the luxury of the expertise with them. We had the luxury of the expertise in-house. So that's when my father, my sister, and I actually started two-wheeler together, where we started on 30th of August 2020, and now it's been 4.5 years, and we're doing quite well.
Touch wood, touch wood. I mean, you're one of those very few people who made the most out of COVID because rest of us were just chilling and eating snacks at home. So kudos. It's like a really inspiring story because I'm like close to your age, but I remember what I was doing at that time. So I really hope that I had that kind of mentorship around that time who sort of, pushed me to do better. So yeah, keeping that aside, what do you think of like this like young generation? Still, you're also very young, but what do you think? Like, what your like the people your age or now the like new freshers? What do you think? What direction sort of like they are going in, and what should they do in their college life itself so to sort of build something bigger out of it, and not just like like waste around time. That is like the fun part is also like that needs to be there,
Of course, it's very
but then that needs to be balanced out with something like which builds something for them in the coming future. So what do you think of that?
So I think every person in the young generation, as even I was there, okay, I was there where I was there. Ki, I don't know what I'm gonna do with my life. I don't know what I'm gonna do at all. I don't know what I'm good at. I still sometimes think that I don't know what I'm good at. Right? I think this is the curse and the blessing of all people entering and entering in their 20s or are in their mid 20s, that they do not necessarily know what they're good at, right? This generation, our Gen Z generation, I think is one of the luckiest generations because unlike our elders, we have had everything in our hand in terms of technology, in terms of a lot of other things as well, which our millennials and boomers didn't get a chance to do. But with the access of everything in your hand also comes that laziness to not do anything anymore. Which is something, see, I'm not gonna say कि तुमने किया मैंने नहीं किया. मैंने भी किया. मैं तुम्हारी एज की हूँ. Okay, I may act, I may talk all mature, but all of this is because I have gone through those moments of 16 to 18 hours of work in a day where I've forgotten eating food, I've forgotten drinking water, I've forgotten getting up. There was a time in my life where I was on the dining table with my sister for about 18 hours in a day. We used to get up, wake up from sleep, sit on the table, start working. ऐसा खाना सामने पड़ा रहता था. My mom used to be like, खाना खाओ, दिशा कहती खाना खाओ, and then they'll be like, हाँ, खाना खाते थे. So I'm only saying this because I've done it, right? But I feel like a majority of our generation wants everything in their hand. They're not willing to work hard for it, which is not right. Right, I completely agree that you should be paid for what you're working for. But there are situations, and especially if you want to enter the startup industry and or be a founder, you will not always get money for the amount of work that you're doing. You will not. And then that's the expectation because people are like, oh, I will only work if I get money. And the thing is that if they get a minimal amount, they will not be working at all. They'll be like, oh, I will only work जितना पैसा मिल रहा है मुझे. But that kind of attitude is wrong because अगर आप वो attitude के साथ रहोगे ना, तो आप कभी grow नहीं कर पाओगे. Because you'll only be happy with this much. So if you're only happy with this much, how will you start thinking big? I think that is a very big change we need to have in our attitude. कि देखो, there will be times and situations and arenas जहाँ पे आप लोगों को पैसे नहीं मिलेंगे. बट फिर अगर आप हर चीज सिर्फ पैसों को लेके करोगे तो फिर आप काम ही क्यों कर रहे हो, राइट? Where is your passion? Where is your drive? Where is your enthusiasm? If you're not excited to work, or if you're not taking a field that you're actually excited to work in, find something that you're excited to work in. It's very, very important. And I think that's what I'm getting to right now. Ki, as somebody in college, you have the luxury of your 3 to 4 years because हमें पता है कि 3 से 4 सालों तक हम यहाँ पे ही है. मतलब हम कॉलेज में वी हैव अ सेफ बाउंड्री. सो वो सेफ बाउंड्री में आप कितना एक्सपेरिमेंट कर सकते हो. वी हैव टू लर्न टू एक्सपेरिमेंट. ओके, इट्स वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट एंड नॉट जस्ट एक्सपेरिमेंट ऐसे. एक्सपेरिमेंट इन डिफरेंट फील्ड्स. ओके, वीडियोग्राफी करो. मतलब मैं सिर्फ मीडिया कॉलेज में बोल रही हूँ क्योंकि मैं मीडिया की थी. वीडियोग्राफी करो, पीआर करो, एड करो, जर्नलिज्म करो, लिखो, कंटेंट बनाओ, सेल्स करो, कंप्यूटर टेक्निक सीखो, डैबल इन ऑल इंडस्ट्रीज. बिकॉज जब तक यू डोंट डैबल इन ऑल दीज इंडस्ट्रीज, तुम्हें नहीं पता तुम किस में अच्छे हो रहे. दिस इज नॉट द सेम फॉर समबडी हु इज डूइंग मेडिकल और लॉ, और मेडिकल और लॉ स्पेशली. बिकॉज जब तुम मेडिकल कर रहे हो तुम्हें पता है कि तुम्हें डॉक्टर ही बनना है, तो फिर उसमें अलग काइंड ऑफ चीज होती. तुम लॉ कर रहे हो तो तुम्हें पता है तुम लॉ ही कर रहे हो, बट लॉ के साथ साथ तुम और क्या कर सकते हो टू बिल्ड अप ऑन योर ओरेटरी स्किल्स, टू बिल्ड अप ऑन योर कॉन्फिडेंस, टू बिल्ड अप ऑन योर पर्सनल ग्रोथ. कॉलेज इज अ ब्यूटिफुल टाइम. मैं कॉलेज के फर्स्ट ईयर में, अगर मेरे को 3 साल मिलते तो 3 साल में बहुत बंक करती. मैंने फर्स्ट ईयर में इतना बंक किया है ना, मजा आ गया मेरे को. आई एम टेलिंग यू. But that's what I'm saying. Even after bunking, I used to just pass with 75.0%. 75% लगता था ना, मैं exact 75 पे मैं पास होती थी. I'm not even kidding. Right? But अगर मैं 75% करी तो not all of it has to be for time pass. Right? Okay, I agree that about 40% of it was for time pass. But or या फिर even 60% time pass कर लो. But वो 40% है ना, उसमें कुछ करो. As I was saying, मैंने अपने फर्स्ट ईयर में 8 प्रोजेक्ट्स लिए. 8 projects. I used to fight with my coordinator, I used to fight with my dean, I used to fight with my professor saying that, listen, you want us to do extracurriculars, I'm doing extracurriculars. Now you can't take that away from me. आज मैं फालतू में बंक करती थी वो चलेगा, but that's also very necessary. This is a rite of passage. So experiment, dabble in all industries because जब तक तुम्हें पता नहीं है तुम किस चीज में अच्छे हो, तुम perpetually confused रहोगे.
Right, absolutely. Absolutely. And especially like the foundation of your life, like the building years of your career is like so important to sort of like, as you said, tap into everything and figure out, because a lot of people don't have that clarity even if they graduate, like they do post graduation, but they're still like struggling with what kind of like,
So
yeah.
one thing my mentor, his name is Derek, okay? He tells us that your 20s are to explore, your 30s are to settle, and your 40s are to earn money, right? जब तुम 20 साल के हो, unfortunately, everyone who's in their early 20s thinks कि उनकी दुनिया उजड़ जाएगी अगर उन्होंने फर्स्ट 2 years में सक्सेस नहीं किया. ऐसा नहीं होता. Okay, everyone. In fact, I have friends who are 30, 35, 40 years old, and these are people who have slogged their butts off, for the first 8 to 10 years after graduation, and then they've reached such a comfortable space in life. आपको याद रखना पड़ेगा कि you have to struggle initially to actually get that kind of success. अगर तुम लोग को स्टार्टिंग से सक्सेस करोगे ना, तो तुम्हें स्ट्रगल का वर्थ नहीं पता चलेगा. जब तक तुम्हें स्ट्रगल का वर्थ नहीं पता चलेगा ना, तब तक तुम अपना सक्सेस इंजॉय नहीं कर पाओगे, आई थिंक.
So as we were talking about like how they sort of how they the young students sort of pick up on the like the skills and experiment few things. Like I would like to know from your end what were the skills you picked up on? Did you learn any hard skills or like how that panned out for you?
A lot of people are very lucky because they get to learn so many skills, in college, on the, when they're learning, experimenting, internship, etc. Right? Mera, because I started at the age of 19, I learned everything on the job. Every single thing. आपको पता है जब हम सोशल मीडिया पे कुछ भी करते हैं, right? If we are posting everything, you have analytics section. You go through the analytics, you understand the analytics. First 3 months after I started, okay, I know I am the CMO, but this title I've got after 4 years of working hard, right? But 3 months after I started my company, my sister comes and tells me that it was 1st of Jan, I remember very clearly. She comes and tells me that, Disha, what are the analytics for the last 3 months of our Instagram? I'm looking at her and I'm like, analytics? ये क्या होता है? I started social media with as simple a thing that I don't know analytics करके कुछ है. And then फिर मेरे को from exactly मुझे पता ही नहीं था. I had no idea that there was something known as KPIs. They couldn't even tell the full form of the word KPIs. Oh, KPIs क्या होता है यार? I was so confused. And that's the thing. We have skills, but all your skills need to be developed. For someone like me, I did everything on the job, right? I learned basic skills like Corel Draw. Corel Draw, I learned in college, and I was offline in college when I learned it. And that skill is hands down one of the most important skills to have, that tool. बिकॉज कोरल ड्रॉ में अगर आपको कोई भी पोस्टर बनवाना है, अगर आपको कोई भी होर्डिंग बनवानी है, कोई भी पैम्फलेट बनाने है, सारे प्रिंटिंग वाले लोग कोरल ड्रॉ यूज करते हैं. आपको पीडीएफ से कुछ नहीं मिलने वाला, आपको अडोब प्रीमियर प्रो से कुछ नहीं मिलने वाला, आपको अडोबी इलस्ट्रेटर से कुछ नहीं मिलने वाला. They want a CDR file. I didn't know that. Luckily for me, my college taught me CDR, Corel Draw. That's why I could manage it. Right? These are the things you need to know. Another skill I picked up was UI UX. Right? I am from a media background. I know everything about marketing. I know everything about PR. I know about all of that. I don't know what UI UX was.
Yeah.
हम लोगों ने जब the version that we're getting out of our tech system right now is the 4th version.
Okay.
Our first version जो बनाया था went to scrap. Complete scrap. It couldn't hold more than 3 to 4 users. Okay, because हम लोगों ने क्या किया था, हम लोगों ने सबसे पहले इतना बड़ा सिस्टम बना दिया था और उस पर कुछ टेस्टिंग नहीं की थी. Then we came up with a second system जहाँ पे हम लोगों ने सब कुछ गूगल फॉर्म पे एंड गूगल शीट से सीखा. तो एक्सेल चलाना, गूगल फॉर्म चलाना, उससे करना. We went from 30 bytes to about 250 bytes on the Excel sheet. तो हम एक्सेल शीट पे रोज 250 गाड़ियां बनाते थे. एंड व्हेन वी लर्न एक्सेल शीट पे हम लोगों को ये सारी चीजें नोट डाउन करनी है. दैट्स व्हेन आवर नेक्स्ट वर्जन ऑफ आवर सिस्टम केम इन, व्हिच इज नाउ हमारा 2 व्हीलर का वेबसाइट एंड आवर बैकएंड. राइट, उधर से हमने काम किया. एंड देन हमने काम किया और हमने रियलाइज किया, ओह नो, हमारा जो बैकएंड है वो थोड़ा मेस्ड अप हो गया. Because we weren't sure about the kind of things that we were supposed to do. We weren't sure कि हमें methodology कितना करना चाहिए था. So अगर हमें ये सब नहीं पता था, हम लोगों ने जितना पैसे सेव किया, मतलब साइड में रखे थे हमारे प्रोडक्ट बनाने के लिए, we had to pay twice of that. Why? Because our project management was not correct. And then over the last 1 year, we learned how to do project management. We learned how to do UI UX. Today, I can sit and I can create an entire design, at least design from scratch. It may not be the best, but I know how to do it. It's something you learn on the job. And as an entrepreneur, not just this, आपको finance सीखना पड़ेगा, UI UX सीखना पड़ेगा, marketing सीखना पड़ेगा, video editing सीखना पड़ेगा, सब सीखना पड़ेगा. Because फिर कोई आके अगर आपको कुछ फालतू चीज दे के चले जाए, you should know when to be able to catch them.
Yeah.
So that's a very important thing. You need to be able to adapt quickly.
Adapt.
You need to be able to learn technological tools quickly.
Yeah.
अगर आप टूल्स फास्ट सीख सकते हो तब आप किसी को भी हरा सकते हो क्योंकि आपको पता है कि वो आपको जो बोल रहा है वो गलत है.
Yeah.
And you can count
And
them out and say.
yeah, and you can back it up also with the
Exactly.
with data. Yeah, yeah.
I learned entire Google ads on the job.
Yeah.
Google ads कैसे रन करते हैं, campaigns कैसे बनाते हैं, Instagram ads कैसे रन करते हैं. Of course, you also have to keep upskilling. आपको constant upskilling करना पड़ेगा. I did a proper course on UI UX. I did a proper course on digital marketing. I did a proper course on paid ads. Now I'm doing a professional degree from, ISB in digital marketing. Online ही है, but we're doing. आपको constantly upskill करना पड़ेगा. And this is not just for an entrepreneur. This is also for somebody who's looking for a regular job or even in tech. Because if you want to get promotions, if you want to get higher and higher, right, you will have to know the skills that are employed by the people at the higher position, and वो आपको तभी ही पता चलेगा if you constantly keep upskilling. So you have to unlearn, relearn, and constantly learn
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And we do have a lot of like working professionals who comes and join our. We have a, UI UX program which runs for like 4 months. It's like an offline online batch, and most of the students are working individual. So we are so like happy to see that okay, they want to like they're graphic designers, which where they want to like sort of like upskill themselves and get a better job also. So that's a really like that's a really
Upskilling is extremely important.
extremely important. Right? Exactly, exactly. And I would also like to know about like since we're talking about upskilling and a young individual, what kind of culture you're like nurturing at Two Wheeler? What kind of people you sort of work with? How the people management part is going?
All right. So I primarily do the people management. I'll start with the story of how I was treated,
Yeah.
right? Back in my college days, even though I had started my own company, I always wanted to know how is it like working in an agency and or a corporate. And so, I kept my job aside for a couple of months. I kept my startup aside for a couple of months, and I went to work with this agency. And this agency was very hip and cool, and they used to be okay with any kind of language, and they used to be okay with drinking in office, and that's fine. All of that is fine,
No
right? But
names.
no names, no names,
Okay.
never names. But also I don't remember the name anymore.
Oh.
I stop paying attention to that. But anyway, right? It's the experience that matters. So it looked like such a hip, cool place, fun to work around with, fun to be around in that environment. But then as I started spending more and more time in the office, spending more and more time with the founders, with the team, I realized that I was an intern there, okay? I realized that my work was not valued. I asked them for projects in which I was actually good at. Like, I am good at rebranding. I'm good at branding overall. I asked them that, okay, I would like to work in rebranding because I am in a situation where I might have to rebrand. What happens then?
Yeah.
Right? I told them I'm even good at this. And they completely dismissed me. And then they made me feel very small. They made me feel very unwanted. They made me feel like, oh, I was doing them a favor by being on their company. And or rather, they were doing me a favor by having me on board. And I knew I come with a different set of skill sets,
Yeah.
right? So, उस experience से मुझे realize हुआ कि I don't ever want to be treated that way. I don't ever want to be treated in a situation where I am made to feel small and unwanted and, a बोझ.
Yeah.
कि तुम बोझ हो मेरे लिए ऐसा. So I think owning from this experience of mine, I'm very, very particular about the culture of our company where everyone is respected. Nobody is called sir or ma'am other than the main founder, right? Only the main founder is called sir, and even we call him sir, even though he's our dad. In office, he's not dad, he's our sir. He's the only person that we ever call. Everybody else, from the on-ground staff to the founding office, we've kept it an open communication.
Yeah.
Right? If you want to talk to XYZ person and your ABC, you can have direct conversation with them. We've kept it casual in a sense that with the names, we've kept it casual in terms of our clothing, etc. But we've kept it very strict in terms of the kind of work you're doing. Right? If you have an if you have 1 week to complete a project, and if you are supposed freelancing with us, you have to give 4 or 5 days, whatever. As long as the work is being done,
Yeah.
we're okay with whenever you do it, as long as it's submitted in the deadline
Yeah.
given. That I think that is a very important thing, because I personally don't believe, because मैं जब वो previous internship में गई थी, they're like, no, you have to be from 9 to 5, even though your work does not entail 9 to 5,
Yeah.
right? So I personally and my team, because most of our team members are all over the place. We have people in Italy, we have people in Dubai, we have people in Singapore, we have people in India, we have people in the US. So we are managing multiple timelines and multiple time zones. So that's why we have made it very flexible, in the sense कि आपको जब भी काम इस डेडलाइन पे खत्म करना है, आपको जब भी खत्म करना है, खत्म करके दो, right? We've
That's
kept it
actually
very respectful.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You're respecting each other's time also, as long as you're getting the work done. It's
Exactly. But we're being very firm also.
yeah,
Just because we're being respectful and nice doesn't mean you're allowed to walk over us. I think there are a lot of people who think that, oh, ये लोग अच्छे से बात कर रहे हैं, so I can walk over them.
walk over them.
Just because we're not being rude doesn't mean we can't be rude,
Yeah,
right? And that is, I think, the case for a lot of people. I personally do not like it, that kind of behavior. Extremely rude, extremely demanding. I feel everything can be done in a very nice way. But again, this is work. A business is dependent on your work, right? तो अगर आप काम ठीक से नहीं करोगे, डांट आपको भी मिलेगी. I think everybody needs to know that, and they need to stop fearing that. लोगों को डर लगता है डांट से. नहीं होना चाहिए ऐसा. अगर तुमने काम नहीं किया है तो तुम्हें उसका repercussion मिलेगा ही मिलेगा.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And since we're talking like about the work, like what is the what's the average age in your office? Like, are they young individuals? Are they slightly like in their 30s? What's the ratio?
So because our kind of organization is distributed into on-ground operations and our founding team members, our on-ground operations team needs to be a very experienced team.
Yeah.
We cannot take young individual freshers who do not know anything about this business as the operations team. So हमारा operations का average is about 35, सब बड़े और छोटों को मिला के. But our founding team members, other than our main CEO who is very old, but other than that, all of the others, our average age is 27, 26. So we've got a very young team.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And like we've seen, because Beep also has a lot of young people working together, and we see what kind of fresh ideas and perspective they like sort of get to the organization, which is very refreshing in a way. Because like we've also seen, we've done so many new things. I myself as a content manager, so we've done like implemented so many like new like tricks and ideas which a traditional foundation or an organization wouldn't have even thought of, and which is working like
I agree.
well. Yeah.
I
So,
agree.
what do you think? What is that the freshers and the young individual get to the office, which is which is very refreshing, and the perspective. What do you think about their POV, and like what do you think when you sort of hire them? What is the thought process?
Okay, so the Gen Z crowd, and or the late millennials, which is basically anywhere from 1998 to maybe 2006, because अभी हम उस age group पे hire करें. Anyone younger is too young at this point to get hired. Okay, they the world is working according to them. Full stop. Right? If you are a Gen Z, you can get up and cancel anyone on Twitter one day, and if you have enough strength, they will follow you. Which can both be a positive and a negative, because I believe that there should be a base behind anything you say. ऐसे तुम जाके XYZ बता दोगे without any base or this thing, तुम आज कैंसिल कर रहे हो, बट तुम खुद भी कैंसिल हो सकते हो. अगेन आई एम सेइंग बिकॉज मेरे साथ हुआ है ऐसा कुछ, राइट? इन दैट वे. So the entire world works on the Gen Zs. The entire world works on millennials. Sara culture, Sara marketing has completely changed their perspective to cater to this. Right? हमारे old people, हमारे Gen Xers, हमारे boomers वगैरह, वो लोग भी Instagram पे आ गए. In fact, I have my parents, my grandmom sitting that day, she was sitting on her phone looking at shorts and laughing. It was the funniest thing ever. Because up until that day, I'd only watched her watch Zee News TV with Anupama. That I swear to God. So वो लोग भी आ गए. So every decision, every challenge, every social media trend that we are making today
Yeah.
is not just affecting us, but it's affecting the entire world.
Yeah.
हमारे एक ट्वीट से कंपनी के स्टॉक्स ऊपर और नीचे हो सकते हैं.
Absolutely.
So we are a very, very powerful age group as of now, because also because we know the technology best.
Yeah.
So I love Gen Zs.
Yeah.
I think they are willing to stand up. I'm
Yeah.
so sorry. Were you saying something?
No, you were talking about we know the technology best. So can you like give us like a brief idea of how to sort of channelize it? Because a lot of students are not like finding the right kind of direction to channelize it. So like if you can give us like few like tricks or tips, so like what would be the stepping stone to sort of like, get there?
I know COVID has made all of us dislike online studies a lot.
Yeah.
But for if you are somebody who wants to do something big or even wants to get a simple promotion,
Hmm.
you can't go offline for everything.
Yeah.
Possible nahi hai.
Nahin hai. Absolutely.
Utilize these courses which you're getting at a very minimal cost right now,
Yeah.
because 10 years पहले ये कोर्सेज देने के लिए आपको करने के लिए आपको 50-50 हजार मिनिमम करना होता,
Exactly.
फ्रॉम ऑल द पीजी कोर्सेज एंड एवरीथिंग. आज आपकी कोर्सेरा के एक हार्वर्ड की डिग्री पे आपको मिल जाएगा कुछ.
Beep also has like courses starting from 800, 900, which is like the, I mean, I don't know how the like the business part of it is sort of, but that is what it is. We're trying to like sort of help.
No, in fact, I'm so glad that you have courses starting from this,
Yeah.
affordable prices, because as founders of a startup, you don't necessarily have the money all the time, right? Very rarely, out of five, about four startups fail.
Yeah.
And you need to wear that badge of failure as a success because at least तुमने try किया.
Right. Yeah.
Right? But even all of these founders, everybody, they need affordable courses because आजकल सब महंगाई बहुत ज़्यादा है. So that now that Beep is offering such affordable courses, I urge people to look into it, and if it works in their niches, they should definitely go ahead with it.
Yeah.
So anyway, tips and tricks. Courses is one. YouTube. YouTube is your best friend.
Yeah.
You will get every single thing on the planet on YouTube.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Make use of YouTube. Yes, we wanna watch, India's Got Latent. But uske साथ साथ you also need to know, you should also watch TED Talks, you should also TEDx Talks. You should also watch all of these things which are actually adding some value because वो necessary है.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Another thing, I feel like in this age and time, Excel sheet is very important. Entire businesses run on Microsoft Excel and Google Sheets. If you learn to tap into Microsoft Excel, you can get extremely high paying jobs. Because Excel में डेटा भरना एक चीज होता है, बट एक्सेल के डेटा फॉर्मूलाज को मास्टर करना अलग होता है. And people pay very highly for those kind of jobs.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And since we're talking about those hard skills, what kind of skills you sort of look in the candidate when you hire them, especially the young ones? Like the older ones are coming in with certain experience, so that's kind of like the transition for them is kind of easy. But someone who is not coming in with any sort of experience, how do you judge the candidate, and how is that process?
Number one, your attitude matters a lot. It matters so much. Okay, I'll give you an example, okay? We were recently hiring for UI UX designers for our later stages of development, and we asked them to send, their resumes. There are people who have given an entire email with their skills, etc., along with that, their portfolios and their resumes. And there are people who have just sent across their resumes with UI UX written. Nothing else. No name, no number, nothing. उसे resume भेज दिया.
You also go through a lot of that.
Like, what is the attitude? Do you want to do it or not? Do you have that, detail to attention? नहीं है लोगों में. The fact is, okay, why am I sitting here wearing a shirt with my hair proper, everything done to have this conversation? It's because the way you present yourself matters. लोग क्यों सूट पहन के जाते हैं? वो लोग तो ऐसे लूज टी शर्ट भी पहन के जा सकते हैं ना. But talking to someone with a loose t-shirt versus talking to someone with a suit, it's about the effort you make. It's about the attitude you have. If you come in, suppose if I were offering a job for CEO's office. And if you come in wearing a simple t-shirt and saying that, oh yeah, I'm just in CEO's office, I have this much experience, I'll be like, okay, fine, whatever. One person. Second person coming, might come with the same amount of experience as the other person, but says that, okay, I want to do this. I want to learn something. I want to build something of my own. I want to, take things to the higher level. जब हम वैसा करते तो तुम्हारे एटीट्यूड में डिफरेंस होता है वो बहुत ज्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट है another thing I believe should be especially when we're hiring is your soft skills, the way you again the way you
That
talk.
would be my next questions. Like,
Yeah,
how
exactly.
important is it to have a soft skills? Like obviously the technical skills are like the part of the puzzle, but like how important it is to be good at like soft skills as well.
Soft skills are so important.
Yeah.
Okay, देखो, I'll give you an example. Okay, I've worked with 4 tech teams till now.
Hmm.
ठीक है, in all of 4 of the tech teams, if I explain my problem to them, and if they cannot understand that problem, it's
Yeah.
an issue. If they are facing a problem but they cannot explain to me that they're having a problem, it's an issue.
It's an issue. Absolutely.
If we're both talking but they don't know how to talk, if they're talking like ऐसे ऐसे बात करेंगे हम लोग softly बात करेंगे, that's an issue.
Issue. Absolutely.
You may be the best coder in the world. You may be the best, designer in the world. You may be the best whatever. But if you cannot communicate it properly, there's no point of you being the best at everything.
Absolutely.
Because whether we like it or not, as founders, as professionals, as individuals, someday you will be facing the client.
Yeah.
And on that day, if you're facing the client and if you're not able to pitch yourself properly or your skills properly, there's no point of doing everything.
Absolutely.
Because if I have two people with the same technical skill set, one can explain himself and one can't explain himself. You see the difference?
Yeah.
It's very, very important. The way you look, the way you talk, the way you, communicate in
Communicate.
whatever manner matters a lot.
Absolutely, yeah. Like we also on a daily basis we come across so many, like as you rightly mentioned, people send like their resume without even renaming the Canva file, and
Exactly.
without a mail body. They just put the attach the link or whatever, and they just send it. Like, where's your like header? Where's your footer? Where are your greetings? Nothing at all.
स्कूल में ईमेल बनाना सिखाया है, लेटर
Yeah,
लिखना सिखाया है. Guys, use it.
exactly.
Use it because even though it doesn't look like it's happening, it still is.
Yeah.
So sorry.
Actually, we are trying to make an active change in terms of this, like how you sort of present, how you sort of ace the interviews, how your resume should look like, portfolio should look like. So we've built like specific communities for each of these like career paths where you can sort of join in, and like where we help, like mentors help. And we love to have you also as one of the mentors because you've spoken so well about like the overall like the process and how it should be for the.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we'd love to have you there.
I would love to be there.
Yeah, that's a like it'll be a blessing to have you there, honest. And like since we're talking about like all these like examples of how students or young people are not like very serious about what they're doing, have you come across any like a creative or a very like honest or a very nice candidate who has been like the youngest obviously, but also has been utmost like honest about and curious about the work? Would you like to share an experience if you have like?
So my CEO's office,
Hmm.
his name is Krish, right? He's my brother's best friend. I know him because of my brother's best friend, but one day he came up to us and he's just like, Disha, I really want to work. I want to work with you. I feel like I can do something about it. And we asked him a few questions. His attitude seemed genuine, and this was about 2 years back, right? October 22, we took him in. Yeah, 22 October we took him in. He's like, I want to do something. And we're like, okay. He was also about 18 or 19 years old only at that point. And I think he is one of the most dedicated and one of the most hardworking people I know. The reason I say this is because, one, your accountability matters, right? If you have not done something, the ability to come up to me and say that, okay, Disha, I made a mistake.
Yeah.
Please help me fix it. Matters. Secondly, discipline. He is one of the most disciplined people I know. He has been going to office every single day without any excuse unless genuine. You know, And he reminds us ki Disha, you're supposed to do this, you're supposed to do that, you're supposed to do this. He's the one who holds us accountable as well.
Hmm.
Like he's like an accountability partner. He is very different in terms of giving his opinions.
Hmm.
You know, he makes sure that the opinions he's giving are the ones which actually matters. Sometimes क्या होता है, opinion देना सिर्फ बात करना नहीं होता.
Absolutely.
ओपिनियन देना मतलब अगर आप बोल रहे हो ना कुछ तो हैव सम वेट इन इट,
Yeah.
हैव सम सब्सटेंस इन इट.
Absolutely.
ऐसे क्योंकि बोला कुछ बोलने के लिए सिर्फ बोलने के लिए मत बोलो.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I think he is one of those people who I sincerely get inspired from as well.
That's lovely to know. There's like there are examples for everything, like, and it's only like we can only like get inspired from such stories and sort of work towards having that kind of passion and like having that kind of sincerity when it comes to your work. So it's
Passion is
only
very important. If you're not passionate, you'll not do anything.
yeah. No, since you're talking about the passion, what like coming to the last like leg of the podcast, what like the advice you like to give our viewers, like mostly like they're students or who are the age between like 17 to 24. So what is that advice you'd like to give them?
सबसे पहले find opportunities. Okay, opportunities are not going to come walking towards you. You have to walk towards them. And if you see them, even though it seems very scary, do it. Apply kar do. Kar do. What is the worst that will happen? They will say no to you. Right? That's you have nothing to lose there. Number one, that. Number two, I think every individual should know how to do sales. Everybody should know how to do sales because at the end of the day, all you're doing is selling. Right now, I may be giving an advice to you, but I'm also selling myself, selling my experience to you. Right? As a technical person, you are selling your expertise. As a founder, I am selling my company to you. If you were an amazing salesperson, you will be able to get through everything. Everything will seem easy once you do sales. Because sales is the most difficult part of any job. Even if you may be the top CA, जब तक आप बता नहीं सकते हो कि आप top CA हो, आप top lawyer हो, okay, आप top medical doctor हो, तब तक आपको कुछ फायदा नहीं है top होके. So sales. And the third thing is, I feel like take the first step. लोगों को बहुत ज्यादा डर लगता है कुछ नया ट्राई करने को. I know it's a very scary world out there, and honestly, I feel the same thing. I feel the same thing. In fact, there are so many things I have put on hold on myself because I'm like, क्या होगा अगर ऐसा हुआ तो? But what if it works out in your favor?
What if it works out? Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Lovely, lovely, lovely. That was so lovely to know like the insights you share and like your too like the wisdom you shared with us is like it's like I mean I'm personally very inspired. I'm sure that inspiration is going to reflect through our audience as well, and I'm sure they're going to absorb on the fact that whatever you've just spoken about, it was so lovely to have you here. And I've, as I mentioned earlier, also I couldn't have asked for any other person to join to be the part of our first exclusive podcast. We are off to a very good start, and I really hope that everyone like consumes this content and sort of get inspired from this. So
Thank you so much.
thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. And we'd love to have you someday in our office where we can like schedule a webinar with our students or something. We can work something around because I'm sure
Absolutely.
that a lot of students would like to see guidance. And yeah, we'll definitely work something around and try to get you on board of at one of our seminars. So
Definitely. Thank you so
thank
much for
you
this
so much for
invite.
listening.
It was a pleasure talking to you and, being part of making this my very first podcast. I'm very, very grateful to it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.